Hello. Check. I'm going to enjoy and be very mindful of this moment for 1 second, because standing on stage for TEDx is not a small moment in a boy's life. So I want to make sure that I get the picture. And thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to my story. And I hope it can, and it will help you to inspire you a bit with your career paths. I'm going to talk about purposeful companies. And to start that, so what is this? How do you call this? A flower? Yeah, right. It's a flower. Which is completely right. But take another look. Can you see anything else? It's a red flower, which is also completely true, because it's a flower and it's colored red, so it's a red flower. And have another look. Can you see even more? 2 flowers, yeah. Yes, very good. But you might also see that the flower exists of various elements. There's a stem and there are petals and leaves. So it's actually a combination of all those elements. But there's even more. Who sees even more in this picture? What? Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you. Chinese rose. Also very true. No, but if you are able to look beyond the picture, you might be able to see that there is also a seed in this flower. Because one thing is sure, without a seed, there can't be a flower. You might not be able to see the seed, but it has to be in the flower. Because no seed, no flower. And if you look really careful and really well, you might also see soil. Because one thing is sure, that a seed that hasn't landed into soil can't ever sprout to become a flower. So there's soil in that flower as well. And if you look even deeper, you might even see that there are minerals in that flower. And water, rain, sun, warmth. So basically what you're looking at is not just a flower. It's a unique combination of the whole universe working together to manifest a flower. You're actually looking at an interconnectedness of elements creating the flower. And basically what I just shared with you is a Buddhist teaching, a Dharma talk by the Zen Vietnamese Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh. I'm not sure if you guys ever heard of him. And when I witnessed this Dharma talk, it actually completely changed my life, instantly, dramatically, because I had this very profound insight that I understood karma. I understood how everything is interrelated, how everything influences everything, how there is no such thing as an isolated activity. Everything is caused, everything is conditioned. And that completely changed my life around dramatically as a person, because I realized that also as a person, every act that I put in this world matters. Because everything I do influences other things. There is no such thing as an isolated activity. Everything we do impacts the bigger picture, whether we like it or not. There's no escape. There's nothing in between. You do. And that creates a very clear situation that you're either part of the problem or you're part of the solution. You either create positivity by doing stuff that positively influences the world, or you create negativity by doing stuff that damages the planet. So you either help or you hurt. And there's no gray in between whatsoever, and there are also no free rides. This is the way it works. This is karma. It's mandatory. And that basically seriously damaged the way I was working, because I was working as a conventional marketing consultant at a big marketing agency, and I was basically doing nothing else than hurting the planet. I was helping big companies to make even bigger money by selling bullshit products to people that were actually created by socially hurting or environmentally hurting the planet. And it became especially hard for me to continue because I already was active as a Buddhist practicer. You know, I was a devout Buddhist at night and a commercial asshole by a day. And after this Dharma talk, I just couldn't do it anymore. I completely froze, and I knew I had to change my way. I knew I had to do something completely different. So what I did is I took a leap. I was really brave, and I basically quit my job, and I started Karmanomics, which is my company, and I pledged to myself to from that moment on to always use Buddhist practices, Buddhist principles as a leading principle in my business practices. Principles such as interconnectedness, loving kindness, compassion, generosity. And I pledged to myself that I want to use my business skills to help humanity forward and not hurt humanity. I only wanted to see if it's possible to create business for good rather than just for money. You know, not striving for money, but striving for happy. And that's what I started to do 11 years ago. And I want to take this opportunity to share some of the insights that I've learned over the years to basically show you that business doesn't have to be only about making money and having a career. You can actually work for something bigger than yourself and your salary, which is the most fantastic thing to do. And I really hope that I can inspire you to follow that path and go in that direction. So this is what I want to talk to you about. So what are the main characteristics of the growing movement of companies that use business as a force for good rather than just for making money? Well, basically, in my humble opinion, they are the new normal. When fair trade got introduced in the late 80s of the last century, most of us associated it with the fact that we had the choice in the supermarket to choose between regular products and fair products. We had the option to go and buy fair products, which gave us a good feeling. But what is even more important is that we became aware from that moment on that there were unfair products. Because if there are fair products, there have to be unfair products as well. Otherwise, who gives a shit? And what's even more shocking is that we found out that most of the products that we thought were normal products were actually created by borderline criminal activities of companies, or even sometimes beyond borderline criminal, seriously hurting people or seriously hurting the planet. And the most important thing that I've learned from working with purposeful companies, as I call them, is they are not the very few the very few virtuous, good examples in the market. They are normal. It's actually abnormal, completely abnormal, to hurt the planet or to hurt other people to make money. It's ridiculous. And yet, we have gone all the way with accepting that simple fact, and we treat the economy as some sort of entity by itself that needs to be fed by making money and spending money, and we're all okay with it. But it's not okay. And what's even more important, it's not normal. It's not normal, but criminal, to use people or the planet for your own purposes. So that's that's the most important thing that I've learned. It's normal. It's not virtuous, it's not good, it's normal. The second thing I've learned from those purposeful companies is that it's a completely delusional idea to treat the economy as an isolated, autonomous thing, which is what we are doing. We are living in a country that measures our well-being by measuring our productivity, by measuring the amount of money that gets pumped around in our economy. That's what we are. We're economic units, which by itself is stupid and delusional. But what's even more stupid and delusional and even dangerous is there is no such thing as an economy. You've seen the flower. The economy is just an integrated part of society. Everything a company does influences our lives. Not by choice, but by definition. That's just the way it is. So if we create this monster which companies start using and do stuff that are hurtful, and we accept that fact because it's good for the economy, we're actually fooling ourselves. There's no such thing as the economy. It's society, stupid, in my humble opinion. Another thing I've learned from these folks, they are explicitly purpose-driven. Have you ever heard of the term purpose? It's a bit of a buzzword at this moment, and it's often associated with having a calling, a higher cause, something, at the North Star. People who've read Simon Sinek, it's about the why, finding your why. It's none of the above. Purpose is actually really simple. It has nothing to do with something that you find with your head. Purpose finds you. Purpose is a verb. As soon as you act altruistically, which means not serving yourself, but serving the bigger picture, you get a sense of fulfillment. So purpose is a happiness experience. Purpose is basically just part of our well-being biology. As soon as you do it, you feel a sense of fulfillment, which is called purpose. So it's not something you can strive for, get white papers and work towards. It's just there. As soon as you not serve yourself, but you serve others, which is basically our basic biology, get the tribe, find your tribe, and make the tribe as solid as possible. As soon as you do it, you experience purpose. And this is what all these wonderful companies that do business for good experience, because their company is bigger than themselves. They serve the bigger picture. Two more, hopefully. I can combine these two. So another thing that companies that do business for good rather than making business for money do differently is that they are issue-driven. So these folks start a company based upon the fact that they see a problem in society that they want to solve, rather than that they have a business idea and want to start a company. They just use a company as the most effective way to change society for the good, which is completely different. So they're not looking for the gap in the market, which is what we get taught at schools, at university, or commercial economy. They are looking for the gap in society. It's all based upon the fact that they see a problem and they want to solve the problem. And what that results in is impact. So they're not interested primarily in profit, but in impact. And impact is a broader definition of profit. It's not just about money. Impact is about making progress socially, environmentally, or ecologically, and financially. And this turns around the old definitions of economics quite drastically, because what sets these purposeful companies apart from other companies is they actually strive for what I call the minimum viable profit principle. They don't go for maximum profit, but minimum profit, because they need the financial performances of the company for social or environmental purposes. So if you read about companies that use purpose to get more profit, then you know you've been fooled. Because the only relationship between purpose and profit is less profit, but more social value, societal value. Yeah, so, and this is something which can be really interesting because our whole economy is based on growth, growth, growth. And these companies are not. They don't go for 20-25% profit margins. They go for 2 or 3% because that enables them to make a difference socially or environmentally. So they have another way of looking at value and value proposition. 2 more. Another thing that I've learned that I think is helpful for you on your career path is what I call HQ, happiness intelligence, or humanity intelligence. One thing that I've learned from working with purposeful companies and purposeful entrepreneurs is that they have this very specific quality, and it's a quality that I'm very accustomed to as a Buddhist, by not studying their issues, but becoming their issues. So they're not information-driven, but they're compassion-driven. Rather than getting into a problem and studying the problem, because if you want to start a purposeful company, you don't only need to be business savvy, but you also need to be socially or environmentally savvy. You have to know how to intervene in the most effective way to make a change. And the best way to do it is not by studying the object, but by becoming the object. In Buddhism, we say that the definition of compassion is seeing your own face in that of another person. So if you are able to not look at another person as somebody who is different than you, who is distant for you, if you're able to open your heart and to own the pain of the other person, then you know exactly what to do to help the other person, to serve the other person. And this is something that these purposeful entrepreneurs, purposeful companies know very well and do very well. They know how to help humanity forward because they can get into the problems out there. Last one. And this is my question to you. What I've learned about these purposeful entrepreneurs and also about my own practice is the very profound difference between hacking the system and fucking the system. So you might say, and I think that's a very proper way of defining and describing these purposeful entrepreneurs, is that they are business activists. You know, they have an ideal that they feel very strongly about, and they use business as a force to do it. And you might even say it's a sort of a protest. But what's really interesting is they don't use the protest in the old school way, like, for instance, the Occupy movement, which didn't do shit. No, what they do is they understand the fact that there is only one system. Remember the flower. So they dive right in the system, and they changed it, and they changed the system from the inside out. So there are wonderful examples in every imaginable market of companies that show and prove that there is room for business as unusual, that you don't have to make maximum profit to build a very promising, valuable company that does more than just making money. And I know that a lot of you, how many of you are students? Look. So, you're about to start your career path. And if you can take away one thing from my talk, is remember the flower. Remember that you too are part of the problem or the solution. And don't think about, oh no, it doesn't really matter because who am I and it's only my career. It does. Everything you do matters. You have impact by definition, whether you like it or not. So please take that away with you and please don't go the conventional, commercial, corporate way. Don't follow the money. Follow the happy. Follow the happy. And I really hope that that you can start a purposeful company, or that you can work at a purposeful company and experience the fulfillment of purpose, of contributing to something that helps humanity forward rather than hurts humanity. And I wish you all the best on that path, and good luck out there.